This is the history of copper mining in Michigan by Robert Heber, Nancy Wilson, and Kelsey Griebel. Good citizens should be knowledgeable about the natural resources in their environment and how these resources have influenced their community over time. Thus, educating students on the topic of copper mining certainly contributes to their development as good citizens. Also covered in this lesson are these three GLICs. Between the 19th and early 20th centuries, copper mining was a driving force in sustaining Michigan's economy. Michigan's copper is exclusively located on the Keweenaw Peninsula, which is on the northwestern corner of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Copper in Michigan was first mined by the early Native Americans, who used the metal for making weaponry and trading. Michigan and Wisconsin Native Americans were the first metal workers in North America. Douglas Houghton was the first geologist in the state of Michigan. He is credited with discovering the major copper deposits on his geologic survey of the Upper Peninsula in 1840. Houghton stated that the copper he found was pure enough to make pots without refining. After Houghton's discovery, landlookers were sent by copper mining officials across the state in search of underground copper worth mining for. All copper in Michigan has a unique composition. Silver is mixed in with the copper. Early uses for copper included utensils, coins, plumbing, roofing, alloys, brass, and bronze. Additionally, beginning in the 1870s, copper was used in making various electrical products. This 3,840-pound piece of float copper, which originated from the Keweenaw Peninsula, was either pushed along the surface of the earth or was deposited by a glacier. In the early 1840s, the copper rush took place. However, many of the early copper companies were out of business soon afterward, due to the lack of sound management and missing financial backing. As the 20th century approached, copper stock became a popular and hot item. As the industry grew, copper towns were also booming across Michigan's UP. From 1847 to 1887, Michigan was the nation's leading copper producer. Early copper miners worked by candlelight and used bells to communicate. But eventually, with the creation of electricity and the telephone, miners were eventually able to work by electric light and could transfer messages by phone. The hand drill became the mainstream tool used in copper mining, which was first powered by air, then steam, and finally by gasoline. In July of 1913, with the creation of the one-man drill, the copper miners feared job loss and decided to go on strike. The strike lasted 9 months and was the first of many labor strikes to come in Michigan's history. In the end, the miners were appeased for a shorter working day and an increase in wages. Following the strike, in 1916, Michigan copper production reached an all-time high of almost 300 million pounds of copper. In 1900, copper mines in the Keweenaw Peninsula were the deepest in the world and required workers with great strength to extract the metal. As the copper industry grew across the United States, open pit mining in other states made Michigan's deep pit mining obsolete. This resulted in the closing of Michigan's last copper mine, the White Pine Mine, in 1997.